Strahan. I live here in town, registered voter in Port Angeles, Clallam County. And I purchased a lab grade fluoride meter on Amazon.com. It's a X-Tech FL700. I don't know how prestigious it is in the world of meters, but it seems to be pretty accurate and used by scientists and stuff. So I'm not a scientist myself, but I'm familiar with basic science methodology and procedure and experiments and stuff whatnot. So anyway, I ordered this thing, wanted to just test it out myself, see what was going on. I've conducted 3 different tests so far, and it's been a couple months since I did the last one, but I don't want to be drinking the fluoride myself. I go to swim and get the water from the glacier system in front of Safeway out there to drink. I don't want to shower in it either at this point. I don't have a choice, but just for my personal knowledge, I wanted to know what's going on here, because I can look at online and read the water quality survey that they send out, but I don't particularly trust them. So I took it into my own hands to do what I can. Bought this meter, it's about $215, tested the water, like I said, about 3 different times now. And the first time I tested it right out of the tap at home, I got a reading of 2.4 parts per million. That's more than twice. It's like almost 3 times what they say, what they're claiming is in there is like 0.7 parts per million, and whatever the EPA's allowable concentration is set at 1.0 parts per million. So anyway, the first test, that's what came up. I'll also mention I've got a countertop gravity filter system that's supposed to take out a certain amount of it. Found that reduced it by about 50% to 1.2, that first test. Second test, I got the same results, 2.4 straight out of the tap, and through my gravity filter it was 1.2. And I contacted the people that make the filter. He got me thinking that perhaps the meter is not reading accurately because it's really hot. 0.7 is kind of what most municipalities introduce into the water supply. And so I did on the third test, I had my girlfriend bring water from another place here in town. And so during that test, if I remember it right, I tested that water that she brought to me straight out of a tap from a business here in town. Tested the water straight out of our tap at home, the water from the tap at home through our gravity filter. And I also tested some products. I like to drink kombucha, so I tested a couple of those products. And that test led me to believe that the meter is probably actually pretty darn accurate, because what I found that time was that the concentration in the tap from both where she works and our place was the same exact reading. This time it was 2.1, so it was a little bit lower. Through the filter, gravity filter on the countertop that we have is still showing about a 50% reduction. Then I tested the kombucha products. GT's is a big popular one. You can find it at Safeway, and most stores now carry that product. It's produced in California somewhere. I couldn't tell you where off the top of my head, but it actually measured for 0.7 parts per million. And another product that's produced down in Portland, Oregon, measured for 0.3 parts per million. And I also tested the water that I got. I went and got the glacier water through the glacier filtration system at the Rite Aid. I went to the Rite Aid here in Port Angeles, filled up a gallon jug. I tested that, 0.0 parts per million in that. So, and that's city water going through that system. And so after I conducted that third test, I concluded that it has to be pretty likely that those readings that I'm getting straight out of the tap are accurate. Around 2 to 2.5 parts per million. That's high. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you folks.
Thank you.
And I have the meter. I'm willing to do more tests and like document it, video or whatever.
Please document all your stuff. Because
And
we'll need
maybe
it eventually.
people that get it.
My name is Phil Keizur, and I live up on Black Diamond, so I can't really be part of your group, but I do wholeheartedly agree with you. The story the first story I was going to tell you was that quite some time ago I read an article in a sportsman's magazine about a elk herd in Montana that was dying off. So the game department went in to check to see, why. And they found out that the elk herd was starving to death. They checked them out and they had plenty of grass. But when they checked the grass, they found out it was loaded with fluoride. There was a natural deposit of fluoride in this valley, and that's what the elk herd were eating, and it was killing them. Further this, I originally was born and raised down in Longview, and in 1939, Reynolds Metals Company put in an aluminum plant. They just bought enough property for the plant, but within 2 or 3 years, it was in the 50s, I believe, they had to buy all the property around the plant because the farmers' cows were dying. They found out that the fluoride had poisoned the grass in the whole area. So the Reynolds owns a whole lot of property down there. They haven't been able to run any cattle on that since. Also in this plant, my dad and I both follow heavy construction, and at one time he worked on the roof of one of the Reynolds pot lines, and the guys that worked up there had to cover all their skin with a product called Protex. I don't know what it was protecting them from, but they washed it off at noon, put on a fresh batch, and then at night they had to wash that off. Otherwise they had serious burns. So that just adds to your problem, and
Thank you.
Thank you.
that's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Thanks.